Hi, it's Achim from InnerSpace Explorers. On my last video I talked about the reachability of the valves and what could be the problem if you can't reach your valves, and I referred to 2 videos on how to set up your tanks, and then I realized I never did these videos. I mean, I kind of covered it in 2 other videos, but it was not like I had it in the back of my head. So yeah, sorry for that. And here's the first one, how to set up doubles, especially regarding the height of the bands, why the bands should be where they are, holes in the backplate, holes in the wing, etc, etc, etc. So what we have here is like the workhorse of technical diving, a double 12, which can be roughly compared to 80 cubic feet, and a wing in the backplate. And there's a couple of components that you need to work with to set it up properly. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take proper bands, and when I say proper, I mean they need to be welded. It needs to be one full 8, so to speak, and they're connected here. So you cannot have like one band that goes around and then has like an overlap here, because you could when you screw it down, you push it further, the holes here get oval, and they never find a spot where they actually stop. The other thing is these, and there's a nice reinforcement here, so that's really nice. So the other thing is they need a certain width, so at least 6 centimeters. You can also get them, I think Highland makes them in 8 centimeters, but in that range. And the rule of thumb is that the top line of the band should meet the shoulder of the tank. So where the curving of the tank starts, this is where actually the rim of the band should be. So the distance between the bolts is 28 centimeters, 280 millimeters. That's a standard. And therefore you have defined a standard. So if you set up your tanks like this, no matter where, no matter what type of tank, the distance between the bolt and the manifold knobs is always the same. So that's a known figure that you can work with. So how high or low these tanks sit on your back is defined through the backplate and wing combination. So when you look at the backplate, you have 3 holes here, and either you have 3 holes here as well, or you have this long slot. Really depends on the manufacturer, and but normally you have these options. There is backplates on the market where it's 1 fixed hole. I mean, then yeah, that's a bit more difficult, but I mean most of the plates, I actually checked what I have flying around before I came here, and they all had options. I actually don't have any backplate that only has 1 hole. And then when you look at the wing, you have the same thing. You have different holes, and that's always the distance, right? So you can choose which one you use. And it becomes difficult when you take like a no-name backplate or a backplate and a wing from different manufacturers, because they do not necessarily really fit together. So when you check this, so the most extreme thing you could do, you could line up this hole with, so the highest on the backplate with the lowest on the wing, like this. You can already see that that does not really fit. Yeah, that doesn't make too much sense. The other extreme would be the lowest one on the backplate with the highest one on the wing. That also doesn't fit, because now actually the outlet from the wing is already behind the backplate, so that would not even fit the tank. So I mean, you can actually see that there is this looks reasonable, right? So where the bladder starts, it meets the backplate, so that is like a reasonable setup between the backplate and the wing. And you can already see that it now gives you 2 options, because there's 2 holes that align. these two. So that's the two options you have to put it on the tanks. And you can already see where my washer normally sits. That's the one I use, and I will show you both options. So the first option would be to take the lower ones, and that would mean also the lower one here. And I can tell you that this will not fit. At least it doesn't fit me. So for me, these tanks would be too low, so I would have a hard time reaching them. They would actually be behind my shoulders. So what I do is I set it up like that. I use the higher ones, these. And then I use that. And now you can actually see, for me, the backplate sits roughly where the band is. So that's right about the same height as you can see on my hands. And that fits me really nicely. And as a rule of thumb, the knobs of the valves should be between your shoulders and your ears. That's the part where you can where you naturally reach. When I reach back, that's where I can turn my valves. If you check the last video, I said you need to be able to put your hand between your shoulder blades. I mean, just defining the flexibility you need. But this is normally where you can handle them. If they're further down, I mean, you cannot reach like that, right? And if they're too high up, you will actually bump in with your head. So a good rule of thumb is, when you put your head all the way back, you should just reach the center manifold, which should be bent in like 45 degrees. So if it should not block me, but I should be able to reach it with my head. And so if you follow that setup, and your flexibility is right, also taking into account your dry suit and your undergarment, there shouldn't be any issue reaching it. So I hope that helps a little bit. I have one more thing. When you screw them down, please do me a favor and use a washer, a split washer, and a nut. Doesn't matter if you use a wing nut or if you use one of these round nuts, just nothing you need a tool for, but use that spring washer. A lot of people don't do that, and then you see that tanks start to rattle loose, and yeah, if actually one of those comes loose during a dive, that's a bit of a pain in the butt. So always like this. Alright, I hope that helps. If you have questions, comments, please put them in the comment section. If you like our content, please give us thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you get a notification when we upload new content, which normally is once a week. Other than that, stay safe, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.